Hi there guys, Jen Richards here, creator of Rumbles Paleo, creator of our online healthy cooking school, the Rumbles Lifestyle Hub, and also EFT tapping practitioner here at Matrix Regeneration. And today I am here to teach you about what EFT tapping actually is, as I am a practitioner in it, as well as running the world's most delicious health food company and the most amazing healthy cooking school. Some of you are probably thinking, what on earth has EFT tapping got to do with paleo or healthy cooking? Well, let me tell you just briefly, it's got lots to do with it. Now, in my private practice, I work specifically with people who are trying to lose weight and people who are trying to establish a healthy relationship with food and their body. I'm generally the last person people come to see to when they've been on a diet a million times and they just can't seem to make it stick. I'm the person people come to see when they just can't handle dealing with their cravings and they're self-sabotaging their healthy eating goals. I'm the person people come to see to who just can't seem to find a place of self-love, and they just can't seem to accept their bodies and the way they look, and they've got anxiety and stress around that. I am at the end of the line and I help people to lose weight. I help people to fall in love with their bodies no matter what they're weighing at the time. And I help them to step forward into life without feeling guilty all the time about what it is they're eating, about what it is they look like, and feeling guilty for falling prey to the chocolate and the chips and the pizzas when they know it's the food they don't really want to eat because they're trying to they're trying to lose the weight, or they're trying to achieve a place of better health than where they're at the moment. Now, I learned EFT quite some years ago, and EFT, as explained in the blog post that comes with it, and I'll include a link to that below. EFT is when we tap on acupressure points, and they're the same acupressure points that acupuncturists would actually stick needles into. And you don't have to stick needles into yourself to practice acupuncture when you know EFT. And we can use EFT to help people overcome self-sabotage when it comes to food. We can help people overcome cravings through the use of EFT. We can help people overcome anxiety and stress, which leads people to the Tim Tam packets and to the chocolate boxes in the first place. Because really, people don't overeat because they're willpower weaklings. They overeat because they're in a place of stress and they just want to feel good. Or they have some behaviors that they've learned and they kind of just do it on automatic. So EFT is great for helping people to deal with those issues or to move through them. I'm going to teach you what the EFT tapping points are, and I'm also going to teach you how to do a round of tapping. I came to EFT tapping when a few years ago, that's what I started to tell that story before, didn't I? A few years ago when I've been anorexic since I was 17. I'd had bulimia in that process. I'd had binge eating disorder. And I went through the cycles of those three ailments, you might call them, for almost 20 years. And I've been to see psychiatrists, I've been to see psychologists, I'd been to healers, I'd been to spiritual guides, I'd been to masseuses, is that a word? I'd been to everyone, and I just could not seem to kick these habits that were infiltrating my life, that was stealing my power. They were keeping me small. They were taking away my ability to give love. They were taking away my ability to work, and I just had enough. And I'd heard about EFT tapping and I was like, what a load of baloney. That looks like crap. You know, people were tapping on their bodies and they were saying these weird things, and I was like, that's not for me. Until I met a lady who was actually an EFT tapping practitioner, and she convinced me to come and do a session with her. And then I ended up seeing her for about 10 sessions, and it was the icing on the healthy cake for me It was a tool that helped me to overcome those self-sabotaging ways of binge eating. It was a tool that helped me overcome all the negative self-talk. It was a tool that helped me overcome all those thoughts of self-hate and how ugly I thought I was and how fat I thought I was. And it just was the technique for me that finally took me out of that really destructive relationship with food and body. And it helped me so much. I actually studied and became an EFT tapping practitioner myself, specifically helping people, as I said, with weight loss, body image, and the anxiety and stress that comes with those. So let's look at what the tapping points are, because we tap through, in tapping we call it an algorithm, and we tap through this algorithm as we talk out our emotions. Day in, day out, we have about 60 to 70,000 thoughts a day. 95% of them are the same as the day before, like Groundhog Day, anybody? And about 80% of those thoughts are negative. And when we use EFT tapping, we can actually help to identify those thoughts. We can feel the emotions behind those thoughts, and we can move them through the body and let them go. So many of us just stuff those negative emotions down. They get trapped in our energy systems, and you can read about this in the blog post I've attached down below as well. And they just make us feel like bleh. I'm not sure if that's a technical term, but they make us feel horrible and shaky and just like something's not right. And it's those feelings that in the end can lead people to eat. It's not, as I said, it's not because they're willpower weaklings. It's because food in a moment can take away negative emotions. It can take away stress, and you can just dissolve yourself into that food for that moment. But tapping is an alternative to dissolving into the Tim Tams, to dissolving into the pizza or whatever your vice is when it comes to food. So the tapping points are, we start with something called the karate chop point, which is just here. I have a free resource you can download as well. And if you read the blog post with the attachment I've included below, you can download a resource that has all these tapping points on there for you. So we start off tapping on the karate chop point here, and we generally use 3 fingers. It doesn't really matter if you don't. There's no wrong or right when it comes to tapping. It's just a general rule, and you do the best you can. Don't freak out that you're going to do it wrong. You can't do any harm whatsoever. So you start with 3 fingers on the karate chop point. Then we tap from in between the eyebrows. So just about there. You can use 2 lots of fingers too if you want. I usually use 1. Then we tap on the side of the eye. We tap below the eye. We tap under the nose. We tap just in the crease of our chin here. And we tap on our collarbone. And then we tap under the arm here. I generally use 3 fingers, and each time I tap 5 to 10 times. I don't count. I just tap and move through it. Now, while we tap on the acupressure points, we talk through our emotions. We don't want to stuff down our emotions and hide them and have them sneak back up on us at the end of the day or at the end of the week, and then have us feeling just like a ball of stress and a ball of anxiety, and like we just want to crawl under a blanket and never appear again, except to stuff the chocolate down for those of us who have emotional eating problems. For some people, it might be alcohol. For some people, it might be cigarettes. For some people, it might be any number of things. This works for all vices. It works for all disorders. It even works on pain. It works on everything. There is nothing you cannot use EFT tapping for. And so to start tapping, we want to identify what the problem is that we're experiencing. Now, because we've been talking about dealing with emotional issues around food, let's talk about cravings here and maybe the anxiety around that. So we want to focus on the problem we're facing. For you, if it's, say you've got to give a presentation at your job, you might be feeling a lot of stress around this presentation. It might be that you've got all these, it might be that you've got a pain in your foot and you really want to ease the pain in your foot. you would be specific about what that pain is, and you would identify that and start the tapping round off with that. Now, the more specific you are with the problem you're facing, the more beneficial to EFT tapping will be. So when I started EFT tapping, one of my crutch foods was chocolate. So we're going to do an example on tapping for chocolate. So you start off by tapping on the karate chop point, and you say what's called a setup phrase, which hones in on the problem you're experiencing. So the problem might be craving chocolates, and I would rate my craving, or I would rate my emotion behind that on a scale of 0 to 10. So for example, if I'm craving chocolate, that chocolate might be a 10 out of 10, like I desperately need it now. If you're stressed about giving a presentation at work, you might be an 8 or a 9 out of 10. And we identify the emotion behind it. So this craving is, say, making me feel anxious, and we tap through the emotion. So let's pretend I'm a 10 out of 10 craving chocolate and it's making me feel really anxious. So we start here, and we start off by saying, even though I have this craving for chocolate and it's making me feel so anxious, I deeply and completely love and accept myself. We finish off with a positive affirmation, because what we're trying to do is we're telling our body, we're telling our unconscious mind, which is where all those repetitive thoughts are stored, that even though we're having this emotion, we're a good person. And that stops us from being triggered later on, because the brain goes, oh, I'm having this emotion, but it's okay that I have it. So we don't get as panicky the next time we are experiencing this experience. So even though I'm craving this chocolate and it's making me so anxious, I deeply and completely love and accept myself. Even though I'm craving this chocolate so badly and I'm so anxious and I just want it now, I deeply and completely love and accept myself and all the imperfections. And you guys can tap along with me, just repeat after me. So that's what's called doing the setup phase. So we say what the problem is, we finish off with a positive affirmation, and we rate it on a scale of 0 to 10 at the beginning, so that we can reassess at the end if we've helped with the emotion or if we need to keep going. So then we go through what's called reminder phrases. And this is where we tap through those points and we just reiterate what the problem is that we're experiencing. So just copy after me and follow through with me. I know it might feel silly, I get it, but trust me, when we tap, we're tapping on these meridian points, it's sending a message to our brain to turn off the fight or flight response, to calm down the amygdala, which is like our fire alarm in our brain, and to let us know that it's okay and we don't have to panic. And I explain this in the blog post as well. So make sure you read that, because I explain how the amygdala is putting us into the fight or flight response, which is making us panicky, which is making us, it's exaggerating the emotion, and it's pushing us towards behaviors that we logically don't want to do. So make sure you read that post. So we're going to go through tap 2 rounds, and we're going to say the reminder phrase. And so I'm going to talk about cravings. You can talk about whatever emotion it is that you're feeling. So we'll start here now. Now we've done the setup phrase, we're going to go through the reminder phrase. This anxiety. I'm just craving this chocolate so much. I really want this chocolate now. It's making me anxious. It's making me nervous. I see it there and it looks amazing. Oh my gosh, that chocolate is so delicious. I can taste it now. I just so need this chocolate. Nothing else will do. I need it now. Want that chocolate now. 10 out of 10 craving for that chocolate. I just need that chocolate now. This craving is so bad. Craving that chocolate. And then just take a big deep breath in and let it out. And we're going to check back in and see if we're still a 10 out of 10 with regards to whatever it is we're experiencing. So ideally we want to get this down to about a 2 before we move on to the next part of tapping. So for some of you, the craving may have gotten even more intense, and that's okay. It means you're moving through the emotion. You're giving it the acknowledgement that it needs so that it can then go through your body and escape. It's not going to get stuffed down where it's going to cause you extra stress and, you know, more pain later on. So if you haven't gotten down to quite a number 2, then you're going to tap through that again. Or what you might have noticed is that the emotion has changed. You might have noticed that instead of, you know, feeling anxious around this, you're now feeling sad. You're just sad. You're looking at the chocolate and you're feeling sad. You know, new aspects, what we call in the tapping world, might pop up for you. So frustration, for example, might turn into anger. Grief might turn into loneliness. And as new aspects come up, you start tapping through those. So let's say I was tapping for chocolate and I was feeling anxious, and now all of a sudden I'm feeling sad. I'm feeling lonely. Maybe I'm eating this chocolate because I'm lonely. So I'm going to set up a new a new setup phrase around that new emotion, and then I'm just going to tap through again. So I'm going to start off on the karate chop point. So even though I'm still craving that chocolate, and it's kind of making me feel really lonely, I deeply and completely love and accept myself. Even though I'm still craving that chocolate, it's about a 5 out of 10. And now it's just making me feel lonely. I deeply and completely love and accept myself. This loneliness, I feel it all in my body. This loneliness, it's making me want the chocolate. Feeling really lonely. This loneliness all over me. I just feel really sad about this. Maybe I'm sad and that's why I want the chocolate. Maybe I'm lonely and that's why I want the chocolate. This sadness, this loneliness I'm feeling right now. This loneliness, feeling so lonely. Just feeling so lonely. And then take a big deep breath in and let it out. And then check the number on a scale of 0 to 10 to where you're at now. So maybe if you were craving a food, you might have gotten rid of the craving altogether and you're feeling a lot better about yourself, and that may have come down to a 2 out of 10 now. If it was frustration for you, hopefully you've gotten it down. If you haven't, tap through again. It could take, 5 to 10 goes, but whatever you're doing is marvelous because you're allowing the energy of the emotion to move through you instead of getting trapped in your energy systems, in your meridian system, which is the Chinese medicine system that they talk about for moving qi and energy through the body. You're moving that through you, and it's stopping you from self-sabotaging, or it's stopping you from indulging in behaviors that you don't want to indulge in, for example. So now that you've gotten that down to about a 2 out of 10, you can start bringing in some positive phrases so that we can start to reprogram the brain when it comes to these certain scenarios again, to start to feel good, to start to engage in more empowering patterns of thought, more empowering patterns of mind. So we're teaching you through tapping how to pivot, how to go from the, oh my God, this is horrific, to hang on a second, maybe if I just move through this emotion, I can bridge a gap and come over to a lesson from this. I can learn from this, and I can create an empowering belief around this. So that's what we're going to do now. So we don't need to do another setup phase. We're just going to start tapping through the points again. So we're going to start to introduce new positive thoughts around this. So maybe I can let go of this loneliness. Maybe I don't really need this chocolate. Maybe I can feel good now. I'm moving through this emotion. I'm setting it free. With every breath, I'm letting go of this emotion. With every breath, I'm learning from this emotion. With every breath, I'm empowering myself. In fact, it feels really good to move through this. I can choose to move through this whenever I want. And every time I do move through this, I'm getting stronger. Stronger with every single breath. Stronger with every single experience of this. I'm ready for the lesson in this. And it feels really good to move through this. It feels good to feel good. It feels good to pivot. It feels good to know I have a choice. It feels good to take back control. And I'm feeling safe. It's safe to let this go. And I'm totally okay. And just take a big deep point breath and let it out. And then in the space of about 5 or 10 minutes, which is nothing, you can transform any emotion into an experience of empowerment. And every time you do that, you reprogram your habits, you reprogram behaviors, you reprogram beliefs that you may have been carrying around for 50 years. And every time you do it, you get better and better and better at doing it. It's a practice. You won't drop that belief instantly, but over time, when you practice tapping, it gets easier and easier and easier. And then instead of indulging, say, in the negative behavior, you'll indulge in EFT tapping, which is empowering. Or instead of succumbing to the pain, you'll know that, hang on, there's another way here, there's another option, there's another way for me to be. You've got like the key to a door that's been locked to you for so long, and it's just magical. Now, if you're in a location and you feel silly tapping, that's fine. On the downloadable sheet, which I include the link to below, I show you the magic tapping points for fingers. So that's EFT tapping. If you want to work with me, you can find me at matrixregeneration.com. You can buy your paleo health food snacks from Rumbles Paleo, and you can come to our online healthy cooking school at rumbleslifestylehub.com.au as well. I hope that helped. Make sure you go to the blog, read the article, it's very detailed, download your free resource, and I will see you in another video soon. I hope you enjoyed EFT tapping. It's amazing!